and we should be live if everything went well. And welcome everyone to another episode of Everything Outside Code. And today is, first of all, today has been a great day. Aside this, but on this stream today, we have a very interesting guest. We have Igor. Um, when I see Eagles bio on Twitter, I'm like, wow, how? That's usually the first thing I see when I see, going from CTO to CMO and reading about momentum and parallax and every other, thing he does. I'm amazed. So I'm really excited to have him on the stream today. How you doing, Igor? What's up? You could introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm doing great. So it's cool to be a guest on the podcast because I'm also writing my own podcast, and usually guests are super exhausted by the end because I really like to ask questions and learn. So it's funny to feel myself as a guest. So
Yeah.
please exhaust me now.
I hope I'm able to, but this podcast is pretty much chill.
Cool.
Like I say, it feels like if we walk into each other at the work bar, and we want to talk about what you do
Yes,
as
yes.
it relates to founders that are looking or learning to sell. Right? What do we talk about? That's basically what we're talking about on this podcast. So if you're listening, please hit the like emoji, leave a comment, leave a shout out, hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, so we know you're there, and we'll get things started. So I think first of all, the first like burning question I thought I have, Igor, is I just want to hear your story.
Yeah.
Right? How did you go from software engineer to CTO and CMO before we get into the weeds of things?
Okay, okay. Yeah, let me tell the story. So my background, as I used to say, is pretty like normie because I studied engineering in tech university. So I'm not self-taught. So I studied in the university, and I found work because of the university. But I spent 1 year working in some company, and mm like back 10 years ago or something as an engineer, and I quickly found out that I need something interesting, something that I can really like put my energy in. So I started to looking for a new job. That's how I found Parlact again, like 10 years ago. So I joined as a regular engineer to the team of like 20 people. I quickly started working like on one-on-one with some of our clients. So I quickly learned like to speak to clients, like to deliver things without management because we didn't have managers back then. So I would say like this experience was useful. Then quickly after a year, I grew to the team lead, and eventually I like launched one of the projects and was working on it like for 5 years or something. So it was a freelance marketplace called Golens, and I was lucky to work with really like great serial entrepreneur Michael Brooks. Michael, if you're watching it, hello. So Michael is really great in sales, and he has like multiple businesses. So I was working with him shoulder to shoulder, and I really like learned a lot of stuff during this period of time. And basically, I was like a tech lead like from the very first days until I like left the projects, and we're still working on it in Parlact. But that's where I really worked like closely. First of all, with entrepreneurs, and secondly with the users. So I learned like how products are built, like what the challenges are. Probably the only challenge that wasn't that obvious to me was sales, because like the founder was so efficient in sales, so he had distribution channels, so it looked like easy for me. But now I understand how tough it is, so we can discuss. But long story short, so that was the project where I really grew a lot in Parlact. But eventually, like after 5 years something, I was a bit of tired and wanted to change like things. So that's when I was promoted to CTO in our company, Parlact. And I quickly joined LinkedIn, started creating content because like how I didn't know what the other way to get clients, and that was something that we were interested in. We always were promoting personal brand and Parlact, promoting that like we want individuals in our company, like fun people to work with, like creative people. So I started using like internet extensively about 3 years ago, and created my personal website. Started posting LinkedIn, but my like place that felt like home is Twitter, and I still like I spend every day in Twitter. So that was my goal actually 3 years ago, to tweet daily. So that's how it started. So eventually, 5 months ago, I've changed the title to CMO because I wasn't that much involved in Parlact projects anymore, and we had a much better candidate than me for the CTO role. So now I'm mostly as CMO, working on our internal products. And just to clarify, so Parlact is a service company, so our revenue is coming like from the clients, like I described, Michael, who partner with us as development team. So basically, they pay us money for development, like outsourcing the development to us. And now my goal as a CMO is build internal products and build revenue streams that will help us like to switch, or at least like have two like revenue streams that are stable. So I can't say that it's working like yet, but it's something that we actively growing. So we had some successes, but it's still a long way to go, because building products, selling products is quite different than selling services. So
Yeah,
that's the story.
yeah, definitely. That's an amazing story. I think I like the progression from dev all the way to CTO. Right? CTO that I see from my companies are either like a founder, or they have to be really big before they bring on like someone else as a CTO. I'm curious, what changed with your day to day from being a dev to being a CTO? So do you still like write code? Do you contribute to the project? And
Yeah.
you say
So
you work with internal tooling. Do you still like contribute actively to that as a
yeah.
CTO?
So as CTO or as a CMO?
I think first as a CTO, and then obviously what changed, which is what I want
Okay.
to ask next. What changed going to like a CMO?
Okay. Okay.
How did your
Yeah.
day shift?
Okay, yeah, I got it. So when I became CTO, so my goal was like to ensure like the stability and delivery of all our projects that we have with our clients. So what
Mhm.
changed? Instead of working on like one project, even though I like a big project usually is like 10 projects, like you probably know. But my goal as a CTO was to observe all the projects and ensure that we're using right technologies, right approaches, right teams, and so on. So I started to dig into like different repositories, and I'm always like really hands-on. I was involved like in like bootstrapping the projects, like even when it wasn't needed, because for example, I wanted to test like new technology on new approach, or like I wanted to grab some ideas that I already have elsewhere, and it will be just easier for me to bootstrap them and show like how it works rather than tell like do the same. What changed, like I needed to really fast to understand the big code bases, to jump in the projects when something goes wrong, to understand it and fix quickly. Uh, but it's funny because going forward, so I would say that as CMO, I now code more than as CTO.
That's
Because
interesting. How is that? Like as a
um,
CMO, that's marketing, right? A chief
right,
marketing
right,
officer.
right. Right. It's because probably like we have like a unique approach to marketing, or like basically I'm using my skills like to run marketing, which is like development is the core skill. But as a CTO, I would say I probably develop more like a manager or as leader, because I needed to work like with each of like these 100 plus people. So now we have 150 people, but at the peak, like 2 years ago or something, we had 200 people. So it took like a lot of time, like to dig into these projects, like to solve issues, to hire people, to make sure that hiring works the way I love,
Hmm.
uh, and so on. So, and really, like I learned, like to calm down people, like to help them to grow. So that's probably was the time when I was like more learning leadership other than
Yeah,
coding.
yeah. So I would say what key problem, facilitated the switch from CTO to CMO
Okay.
instead of like CTO to CPO or CTO to CFO or something else? Why
Okay.
CTO to CMO? What changed?
Okay, so I like this quote from Naval Ravikant: "Learn to build, learn to sell, and you'll be unstoppable."
Yeah.
I definitely, uh, at least in my eyes, learned to build, and I built a number of projects to prove that.
Hmm.
But I'm still struggling with sales. But sales is what needed, like for everyone. So I would say that marketing is like the interpretation of this. Like I'm learning sales now, so I'm learning to provide value. I'm learning to communicate value and ensure that we actually bring this value. So it's interesting because it's quite like philosophical, like things to think about, and I like philosophical things. So
Yeah.
I always was fascinated, but then by this, and I'm playing music, and I always like writing lyrics that are kind of philosophical, a bit depressive probably. Uh,
Yeah.
Marketing is something that should help us like um, to provide more value, to bring more revenue as a return, and build a better company. So that's how I see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's great. And I do know, like, as a CMO, you sit on like a strategic level as the leader of the marketing organization, right? How does that
Mhm.
impact like your day to day? So do you have other people working also in the marketing organization that you provide oversight to? How do you stay abreast of like campaigns, like what the
Mhm.
campaign strategy is like and providing all that?
Okay. Yeah. We used to before like I became a CMO. We didn't have like this level of leadership in marketing at all. But we had like a bunch of people in marketing department that were attached to marketing department, and it
Hmm.
felt wrong because uh, again, like I'm very hands-on, and I want like all people be hands-on. And what happened, like marketing people, they were like absorbing things from outside and reporting like these things, the way how they look it, but you never will be able to communicate these things if you're not doing it yourself. Like if you're not working on the product, if you're not struggling daily like to get users, if you don't see like how product is built from day zero like to launch and beyond, like you will always be not that great, I think, in marketing, because you need to live it yourself first. So that's what I'm changing. So there is no such thing like a marketing department
Hmm.
in our company, but there is some projects. So we've changed that. So everyone should be involved in some kind of product or project. So they rather need to provide service, or they need to build a product and sell a product.
Yeah.
And so, for example, so I'm building. So my core thing is momentum. So that's a product that I'm like involved daily, and I wrote all the code myself. Now I'm adding like developer to help me, and I'm really happy that's happening. So it's not great.
Yeah.
It's great when you can build and you can move fast, but often now at this level, like it's counterproductive because now I'm stuck in the like a lot of little things that can be done by like someone like who like can do development like faster than me at this point. So I'm trying to step away from development, but it's always needed, yeah. Anyway. Yet. So it'll get back to the question. So all like marketing people in Parag, they're involved in the projects. So for example, we have a project called Clipwing. It's a SaaS for cutting videos to clips, to video clips, and it also has a productized service. So our marketing strategy is productized services. So I can speak more
Mm.
about what productized services means.
Yeah.
But as a real example, so we have this momentum that I'm leading. We have Blueprint that led by a different person, Lara. We have Salt and Bolt. It's our brand for design. And now we launch in like the same brand called Ship for Development. So
Yeah.
that's how I want. So I want every department to have their own products so they can contribute with the content and they can actually promote the product rather than something
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. So it basically is a product marketing team rather than a traditional marketing team that could have like
Yes.
some goals, objectives around general brand awareness.
Yes, yes, it's
Huh.
true, it's true. And the way how,
Yeah.
like even we started with momentum, we declared that we want everyone in our company to be creator because that's the
Yeah.
future. Like jobs are really fast, like outdating. So today we have some job, tomorrow we won't have job. We need to like adopt these things. So everyone should
Hmm.
be resilient to change. Everyone need to be willing to change. And we see like personal brand is the as the best solution for
Hmm.
both sides because we help people to build their own like leverage, build a reputation, and we attract the same level of people. So it's not like one way. So they no longer just invest in something private; they invest in
Hmm.
themselves first. So we declare it.
Yeah.
So we want everyone in our company to like be creators, and we said that our
Hmm.
company accounts now won't be like writing some random stuff like how to build MVP. They will just
Yeah.
like repeat stuff from people. Like if some product manager want to post how they built MVP, it's great. So the goal of product account is not to miss these posts and repost them, or probably
Yeah.
repurpose in some way. But the initial things should be going from creators themselves.
Yeah. That's an amazing strategy. I think a lot of companies have started adopting that as well.
Yeah, and I can
Going
tell
creator
because
first.
it felt a bit.
Yeah. Like folks, I mean, everyone wants to engage with somebody, right? No one
Mm,
wants to engage with some brand that's like an abstract entity. And I've seen even brands have gone the way of personalizing the brand and making it have like you can feel like there's a handler behind each brand. But I'm curious, taking this, person first approach, creator, led approach with the product focus as well, how has that affected your bottom lines, for instance? How has that affected the company's overall growth? And
mhm.
also amongst like the marketing team, have you seen like an uptick in engagements, MQLs, so marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads,
Okay.
interest in your service, in your product? We'll get to productize service. So probably how did that also influence that as well?
Yeah, definitely. So the tough thing here is that it's very hard to like analyze these things, like to say the exact number, uh, because sometimes we don't even know like the details, like even when we work with a client. But we have definitely like the actual like proven stories when like it brought us leads, it brought us clients. It helped us to close sales, like when we talk with someone on the call, they didn't know that we have like so much content, and then I follow up saying, here's my video on how to build MVP, here's my article on how to launch a product hunt, here is this and that. So they say, wow, these guys are worth working this. uh, but I can tell definitely. So my first attempt to go like online with the content was like 3 years ago. We launched an accelerator, but it wasn't that typical accelerator that give cash in exchange on equity. We like gave service in exchange to equity. So basically, like uh, so for founders got like built for free, but we've got like equity in return, let's say so. And to find like these startups, to join first batch. Like again, like I didn't know like how do I find them, but I know that somehow I need to find them. So I recorded a video and created this personal website telling about myself. And this video, it's pretty like cringy, like for me to watch now. So it was really first attempts, and we spent like 7 hours or something to record 1 minute of me talking because I just wanted like to be not edited, like from beginning to end. And so we just were rehearsing like all the hands movement and stuff.
Yeah.
But eventually, it really connected with me with some great clients that we still work on. But they, I mean, first of all, like we launched Accelerator, so we did it. We can talk also about it and the challenges with Accelerator. But to not only clients, so some people they weren't a fit for Accelerator, and later they just came for development and worked with us for a
Hmm.
year. Like we even got an equity from one guy, like with the payment. So he was paying, he also providing equity just like because he liked our
Yeah.
team in this video. So it's pretty cool because like it was my first time in content, and we have proven like things that it worked. Uh,
Hmm.
and definitely now we're using like content all over the place in our proposals, and it's helping us to close sales. But again, it's hard to tell how exactly.
Yeah. I guess this is when I have to ask about the productized service. So, for anyone listening, what is a productized service? And what's the one you're working on currently?
Okay. Probably the simplest way to explain productized service is to compare it with traditional service. I mean, traditional service is what we have now in Parlact. Long story short, it's like selling hours. So basically, it's always come down to like setting some rate on person like skills, and then like quoting it by hour, and then sending invoice that I invoice by hour. And there are problems with like this custom service approach that sales cycles are very long. So because like people come in with all the different ideas, you're working with them on proposals, you building them demos, you're helping them, and probably they will never close. Like most likely they will never close. And like clients even don't know like themselves like what they want at this phase. And productized service, it helps to fix it. So the main goal for us with productized service is never bill by hour. So we want to detach revenue from like person that's doing the job. Instead, we want so productized service is built by results, like by the outcome or deliverables. Instead of saying, okay, you want to build an app, let's meet on like 5 calls, do like this process, and then we will give a quote how much it will cost. The example for like this protesters will be we will build MVP in 2 weeks for like $5,000. So it's a very clear offer with the so prototype service attributes is that you will always have the exact deliverables. So you know like what you will get, you know what the price is, and you know what timeline is. So that's like where we are moving. And again, the main thing is that you will be billing not per person hour or like per team member, you billing. So you have this standard package, you rather like choose it or it doesn't fit you. So it filters a lot of people without these endless calls.
Yeah. Does that also mean you need to have like very specific audience for this service, right?
Yes.
Because
uh,
you're sort of boxing people into a particular outcome,
yeah.
right? So they all need to desire that outcome. And I would guess the process and the way they want to get to that outcome has to be a bit similar for a
Yeah.
productized service instead of like a purely bespoke traditional service, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. So for clients, it has both like advantages and disadvantages. I mean, like depending on what you want to achieve, because advantage can be, and it is like that. You know, like the exact things that will be delivered, so you know what you're paying for. When you're paying for like traditional service, you never like really understand what will be like in the end, and you yourself can be a big problem, like changing like requirements like every week, and so on. With productize, like it's very clear. Uh, if someone who listened like used Fiverr or Fever, I don't know how to pronounce, or like they see Fever. So Fever is a great example of productized service because like everyone there has these multiple packages. So like I'll build your like WordPress website for
Mhm.
500 or $1,000. For 500 I'll do only like templates. For 1,000 I'll do custom theme or something. So you can decide. But disadvantage for not prepared people can be that the scope will be limited, so you won't be able like to change like things at least a lot. So you need to agree, like so you saw like what will be delivered, and you see all these constraints, and you just need to go with it and trust uh, because like first of all, we need to show successful case studies so they trust.
Mhm.
So if someone succeeded like this way, that means that you can succeed this way too. Uh, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it,
Yeah,
it definitely does. I'm curious. So for anyone, because I get this quite a lot of freelancers and service providers, folks doing stuff on the side, they want to offer a productized service because it's a bit more predictable,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I talk to a lot of content creators. They're thinking about the same thing. But right now, they offer a traditional service. What are some of the very important bits they need to consider when going from a traditional service to making a productized
Oh,
service?
yeah, yeah. I can speak about it all day, by the way, because I'm trying to make the science out of it, and I have a lot of articles, and I was really like deconstructing all the stuff, and also after our mistakes. But the main thing is that you need to come up with something that you can do super fast. So. I mean, like hours in time, ideally. So it should be something that like take you hours, but something that is very valuable for people, and something that will and has like high demand. So it means that you should be ready to handle a big number of projects at the same time. For example, I think the most common broadcast area is design. So it's like easiest to understand probably. So for example, for design, what services we have now? We have a logo like in 3 days, and we do like three different logos. So you can choose. So you can choose like the example, or you can like refund if you hate them all, if you don't use them. We have like a landing page that only consists up to 10 sections, and you need to provide the content so we understand what to put on the page. uh, we also do like UI UX prototypes, like also in 2 days. Like that's our guarantee. But the thing is that it's guaranteed for client. But imagine that you will have 5 projects at the same time. It means that you need to basically do these 5 projects in 2 days, and you should be ready for that. So it's very important for prototype services to keep the cadence of delivery and to really respect the deadline, because that's why clients choose productized services, because it's fast, predictable, and cheaper than traditional services. And that's something that
How about
a lot of
quality?
people. Sorry, what?
I just asked, how about quality?
Yes. So how quality is achieved here? And okay, as we're talking like this, probably with developers, a lot of developers. Uh, you use like templates, and that's a very big part of productized services, is using templates, and intentionally like using templates and constantly contributing to the templates. So every time when for example we do a landing page, if we created a new component, we will put it back to the library. So next time when another person will start the landing page, they have this library with a like component there. The same for development. So you need to have like a bunch of boilerplates, probably like for different areas. Probably you don't even you don't need to like to build like MVP for all areas. So the best thing, like I will do MVP for your fintech, and you just contribute to the templates relevant to the fintech. For example, like list of transactions, like
Yeah.
integration with some services for currency exchange and something. So the smaller the niche is usually the better, because the client will see more value in it, and you can really create great templates other than I will do any kind of MVP. So it will lead like to traditional service eventually
Yeah.
if you do this. So you need to set these boundaries, and you need to be very confident in them, like very opinionated. Like they say, oh, can you use like Python like instead of JavaScript? No, man, we just using JavaScript because like that's how we move fast. That's how we can deliver. And here is why: because JavaScript is a top language, like blah blah blah. So we need to be very confident in these opinions, like or whoever like doing protect services. And you can check like Twitter accounts of all the successful people who run them. You will see that they are often very like opinionated, probably like too much like opinionated, like and causing like
Mm.
these conflicts because they are so confident like in their approach.
Yeah. So I guess step one is having a very strong opinion.
Yeah, yeah, that you should have it. Yeah, definitely. Because otherwise, like clients will tell you, can you change this and that, and you will stuck.
Yeah.
But you should
So
definitely like listen to clients. If like everyone asking for the same thing, uh, it means that you probably need to consider it.
yeah, I guess you need to update the product then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, what is
Yeah.
cool like with Protect Service, except that it's detaches like the our hourly billing. It's the same as SaaS. So SaaS is also not built by hour, right? So for
Yeah.
SaaS, you're paying like some $5 per month, and probably this $5 per month will turn to $10 per month tomorrow, right? Like if in service business you're charging like $50 per hour, and the next day you say it's $100 per hour, like it won't work, right? In SaaS,
Yeah.
you can just do this and it will work. The same with productized service. You usually start to really cheap. Like you over deliver, you want to get clients, you want to get portfolio, you should do a lot of free stuff, like just to ensure that your templates work, that you can deliver fast, that people like it, and so on, and move from like there.
Yeah. Um, Definitely. Those are all right. Let's talk about your productized service. So momentum.
Okay.
How do you embody all this? What exactly is momentum? Why did you start it? And also, what's the overlap between Paralect and momentum? I guess these are a lot of questions, but we could just start with introducing momentum first, and then we get up
It's
going.
cool. It's cool. So funny enough, so Momentum doesn't have now productized services. So we should more speak about it as a product. So because it's a product.
Okay, a product. Okay.
Yeah, so it's for okay. So Momentum is like a very simple no-code tool to build landing pages, blogs, and like directories, and basically like dynamic websites. I mean, actual apps now. So what the idea is behind Momentum? So we try and like launching these products like for a long time now, so more than 2 years, and we always like need something to launch a landing page. Then you need something to add analytics. Then you need something to collect emails like forms. Then you need something to send emails. Then you need like something to send like group emails that appears a different tool usually, like from transactional emails. And uh, I really like to play with the new tools, with new technologies. So it wasn't an issue like for me personally, like to use like 10 tools like to launch a website. But as soon as I started working with more and more like people, like product managers or like other roles, I found that it's very like exhausting for them, like to understand like why we're using these 10 tools. Nobody like really checking analytics because they think that it's like tough. I know, like just to open the tab to understand all the interfaces. So I found that it's very hard for people actually like to build and to understand all of it like themselves. So Momentum is our attempt to put all these 10 different tools that you absolutely need for every product into one place. And that's actually how it evolves. So basically, we're using some tool. And usually in tools, you're using only like 5-10% of the functionality. So that's important part because you just found your thing and using all the time, and you really don't use like all these advanced features usually. So
Yeah.
that's why easy like to take these five relatively easy to take this 5% and put it like in build yourself. So we started actually it's fun because we started not from the landing page builder, but the main thing now is a landing page builder. So let's probably like speak about it. So it started
Yeah.
from a landing page builder, and we launched it May or end of May last year on Product Hunt, and it was a really big success. So it's number one product of the day of a month. It's number one in marketing products of the month. So we won a lot of
Wow.
stuff. But back then it was mostly like very simple way to launch a landing page, and the way how we promoted it, launch your product in seconds. And it was initial idea. So before the product was built, I said that you will be able to launch in seconds, and it's pretty fun because we will always like now commit like to do this. So you can launch your
Mhm.
first page in Momentum in seconds. It's really is. And the way how it was achieved, we didn't even have a landing page for it itself. So from Product Hunt, all people they just went directly to the editor. The editor has only two inputs in them, like the name of your product and your value proposition. And we say you should start your title with a verb because that's how you speak to the clients. So you're not talking about we. You're talking to clients about the value that you
Yeah.
provide. So the only thing that you need to put is your name and something in value proposition. Click publish, and voila, your page is launched. It's actually launched and it's ready to collect emails. So it was like the default was like a join waitlist like input.
Hmm.
And you don't even need to sign up like to do this. So that's an important part. So you can play with the tool and launch your page like anonymously without logging in. And that's how it's all started. And eventually we started to add all the other tools and also how I modeled it. So I worked a lot with Notion. I use Super, and I'm still using Super for like Notion web pages. We
Hmm.
work really a lot with Webflow. Like our designers works with Webflow. Now also Framer. I'm looking at, but back to the time it was like the thing that I learned in Webflow and mostly like Notion and Super. So I'm trying to make the interface familiar for people. So basically, I'm copying the parts of these products that I'm using, and that's how it evolves. So, for example, the analytics, I completely copied the first version from the tool called SplitBee, and it was acquired by Vercel. So Vercel Analytics is built by this SplitBee team. So I made the right choice, I think. So
You did.
yeah, so we copied analytics from them. Then I'm working with MailerLite and MailerSend for sending emails. I copied a
Mm.
piece of interface to like Momentum from them. Now the interface itself in Momentum it looks like Framer. So I took
Yeah.
the pieces of the UX like to our tool. And that's basically it. So now you can launch your page, you can launch your blog. You will have analytics automatically, so you don't need to do anything. You can collect forums. It can be a rather simple forum like for emails or complex form that usually you use like Tally
Hmm.
for. So Tally is another tool that we use a lot. You'll see analytics, and what's funny for analytics we use like three different tools. So SplitBee is kind of like Google Analytics, so it's only
Hmm.
the
Event
focus
based.
is like web analytics basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean like referrals, URLs, like countries, and so on. but you also need conversion analytics. Like you want to know how many users who view the page submitted their email, and I expected it to be simple, but it's not simple. Like even like to configure stuff like this conversion, it's not simple. Now in
Hmm.
Momentum, it just works right away. So if you add the forum, it will show you its conversion rate. So now we don't even need to collect this. Um,
Yeah,
Also, you need like product analytics. Like you want to see like if someone has submitted form, like what action they did in your app. So it's also like
yeah,
works automatically. So we can click on any customer and see the like journey. So basically, it's like 10 different startup tools now in one simple
and one.
interface. It becomes more and more
Yeah,
complex.
yeah. I really love the transformation you propose, which is launch like a product, an app, or it's a page in seconds,
Yeah,
which would normally take folks, hours and sometimes days, or even
yeah,
outsourcing it and get a bit of headache uh, along with along with that. That's
yeah.
great.
Can I give
What are
one
some of?
advice?
Mhm.
Sorry to interrupt,
Sure.
but I think this advice will be really helpful for people who listen, especially who's just trying to start their first like landing pages and products. Uh, the power of momentum is that all your focus is on content. Like again, I talked about these two inputs, like that directly, like what you need to like to write there, instead of thinking about layout, designs, and stuff like this. So the focus is copywriting, and if you launch the page, like that's where all your attention should be. Is value proposition and communicating your idea rather than having a blurry idea that nobody understands with a nice design. It doesn't work. So you can impress your friends, but that it won't work for business. For business, like even like simple Notion page that just explains clearly what the product does will work better. And so when people using tools like Webflow or any other, they start playing with all this like, okay, now I need to like, can you change this design? Can you change this logo? Before they even thought about content, and it's very harmful. So if you like start your landing page, start with a Notion doc and really answer the question like, who is your target audience? What you provide them, like what's the value for them, like what um, how you will save them time and money, like how you're different from your competitors. And that's a very hard question to answer, and you won't have the answers until you launch and see it. So you need to launch daily. So that's another thing that we say with momentum: create content daily. So that's the way, and to launch
Yeah,
daily.
yeah, that's great. Also, something that you did that I really like is the fact that your onboarding to Momentum was no onboarding. You get straight into creating a project, like straight into deploying a page right away. So you didn't have to like go through or have users go through like leaps and hurdles to get into the product. It was just go from product hunt and then
Yeah.
straight into launching a page. Would you say that contributed to the success of the launch? And what are the other things that contributed to the success of the product hunt launch? Because a lot of solopreneurs and creators and companies bank on product hunts for that initial traction. And you
Yeah.
did have like a lot of success with that from number one for the week to the month, and also uh, on the month for the marketing segment. What were the key things that contributed to that success?
Okay. Yeah. So as for numbers, so we've got 8,000 views from Product Hunt. So it's pretty massive, I believe. I mean, in the first 2 weeks. Later, I even didn't check. So it was 8,000 views, but we didn't even have monetization back then. So uh, I mean, we have a lot of still like visits from Product Hunt. So Product Hunt is great that you have a solid like backlinks that will serve you like for a long time, like especially if you want some prizes. Um, as for overall for launch, what contributed to it, we run a community for months prior to that. So I actually was running a community. It's also like one of our projects called Nano, and it's actually the iteration of our accelerators that I mentioned. because we took only two startups first accelerator, only two startups second accelerator. But for this nano community, we took 20 startups. So because if you want to build something like incubator accelerator, it's really like the game of numbers, and you need to have a lot of competitive startups working on like similar things. So we were running this community for 1 month, and the winners got cash prize, which was 3K, and we paid it to two startups. Then they joined two startups. Eventually got the MVPs also built by Parlact. So that was the thing. And during this community, the goal was so everyone, like everything that I was telling you. So we said that everyone should publish content daily. Why? Because we want to monitor what's going on. Because otherwise, people just disappear, and they can tell, "Oh, I'm working with a lot of clients, with a lot of things, with a lot of like blah blah," and you will spend forever like to understand what's going on. We instead we said that you need to set the goal for months. Like I want to get 100 users, or I want to have 100 interviews. Like it's also fine. Like by the end of this like accelerator or something. And we required not only posting daily, but we also required to post progress update every Friday, like weekly. And it was very engaged community. I grew a lot of Twitter back then. I also wanted. I was afraid that probably they will be active for a few days and then will disappear. Like it's always happening when you lose like motivation. So I went really hard during the first days uh, to meet like with everyone, to tell them that you need to do the same. You need to meet with like every other person. You need to learn their methods. You need to basically like trying to get them in your team, so it will be like more efficient together. And I've started to doing a lot of calls and with screenshots in Twitter. Like I met with this guy and with this guy, yeah, with this guy, and I'm still doing it, and it's great. Like with other people, but it stimulated people from community actually to do the same, like to meet with other people, to share the screenshots, to share like what's going on. And it was pretty engaged by the very like last day, and we probably only had like two or three startups that didn't make it to the day that disappeared. But all of the people, they were pretty motivated and they wanted like to get something out of it. And in the very end of this community, excellently. So it wasn't a great like a big strategy, but excellently like we had this launch of momentum. So I was at peak in Twitter. So a lot of people really like appreciated this thing and they supported. And that's what I want to say about launch. Like a lot of people, not only product hunt launch, but any launch that you're doing, a lot of people think in launch okay, so I will go to do some promo pictures. I will write description on product hunt. I will post this link like at the day of launch, and magic will happen, and like I will win like number one of the day, and like all the customers in the world. But it will never work this way. So you shouldn't ever launch like this. So the launch is small preparation every day. For 1 month, I had the notify page, and I was sharing it Twitter and saying, we launch Momentum the end of the month. Momentum is a very simple way to launch your landing pages. Here is how I launch landing pages with Momentum. So people, they knew about it. So they knew about product. They knew, like they saw it like a few times in their timeline by the day of the launch. They knew me, they knew product. So that's why they supported. If you don't work on preparation and more people don't know you from day to day, like it likely won't be successful. So it doesn't work this way.
Yeah. So I guess the most important takeaway from this is, you know, helping people or staying top of mind, right? So you
Yes,
want to be top of mind of like anyone and at least have a community or some sort of audience. If you don't have an audience, build one
yeah.
towards the launch, and it serves even past the launch.
Yes, and you should be very like vulnerable too. So people don't like other people who like bragging. Like it's probably
Yeah.
what it probably happens too much on like LinkedIn. I would say that like people mostly like sharing successes and they just celebrate the successes and that's it. But in Twitter, it's more like a similar. It's more like reality. So people can be harsh. People can be too harsh, so unobjectively harsh. But you should be really ready to hear that your product suck, because in some cases it will be like the true facts. So any
Yeah.
feedback is great feedback. So you should strive to it. So I was sharing and asking like, what do you think? It's the great way like to say like probably like roast my product. Like, is it like clear how it works, or what would you change? So it involves people in conversations. So they even so they didn't want probably to interact with you, but the question like will trigger them like something in their mind. So they start to answer you and they will remember about you. So that's how it works. But some of them they will just say that your product suck and you suck. Like so you should be
Yeah.
prepared for that. That's a part
Yeah.
of
True.
marketing.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Being able to take criticism, whether it's constructive
Yeah.
or otherwise, because Twitter is a very wild place. Um, we're coming up on time now, Igor, but thank you so much for coming on stream today. I have so many questions, especially like how Twitter worked for you, the accelerator, intricacies about that. But we just have to keep this under an hour. But this
Yeah.
has been really, really fun. Hopefully, we'll get you on stream again sometime in the near future. And probably by then, Momentum is like, $1 million company of its own. Hopefully, that does happen soon, or it's a really, really successful product. But thank you so much. Where can folks find you? I guess it's Twitter, right?
Yes, it's
What's
here.
your,
And
your Twitter handle?
yeah, yeah. And that's also so yeah, you can find me on Twitter, but my Twitter handle is really bad. I'm trying to find a new one, but for now it's
Yeah.
that underscore Igor underscore. 3 years ago I thought it's a great name, but no. By the way, it's also relevant to your domain. Like try to really buy domains that are pronounceable. But yeah, you can find me on
Oh.
Twitter. Probably you can go to William accounts. It will be easier because he retweeted it. But I will be
Yeah.
really happy to help you. Like, so you can ask me in public, or you can send a DM if I can be helpful. I will do my best to help because that's what I'm doing
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Igor. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for anyone listening. If you're still around, hit the subscribe button or like or leave an emoji somewhere. But for now, have a wonderful rest of the day and see you next Thursday, Wednesday on the next episode of this stream. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you.